All right, so we're gonna go for a nice long walk here this morning. Just made some of that steak and made some coffee. So that's how you stay on a budget. That's how I'm saving my money for the best time of year, which would be summer, fall, and then God willing, we are going to finish the loop next fall and winter. So gonna need some money for that. So I'm trying to spend as little as possible, but still escape the bulk of the Minnesota winter, at least some of it. So far so good. So what I wanted to try to talk about here on this little walk is my impressions, my opinions on YouTube as it stands today, 2025. I have been doing YouTube for about 10 years. It's hard to believe. I can hardly believe it. But in no way, shape, or form do I think I'm any sort of expert on it. I listen to people who know what they're doing. There's lots of channels out there that'll tell you all about it, the trends and so forth. This is just really my experience with being kind of a casual content creator, especially in the genre of what you guys see here on Backwaters and Backroads, or the other channel, the main channel. And I also want to kind of touch upon the subject of AI and how what I think is going to come of that. I don't think anybody really knows, but I've got some ideas. Like always, I just listen to people smarter than me. Wavey's doing her business here. Alrighty, Wavey's done there. Okay, so here's my thoughts on YouTube. YouTube is like all creative endeavors, I suppose. Music, books, art of any sort. It's one of its characteristics is some people make a video. I often use Steve Wallace as an example. Camping with Steve up in Canada there. He's awesome. Everybody loves Steve. See if I can adjust this a little bit. There we go. And, you know, every time he puts out a video, he'll get 1 million views. I mean, you check it 12 hours later after release and he's got 500,000 views. Obviously, people love Steve Wallace. And he's even said it himself on his channel that he's not really doing anything all that unique or special that anybody else is doing that might get 500 views, okay? So that's obviously an incentive. You know, I'm sure that every time he thinks, well, every time I go camp in a roundabout or I go camping behind a sign, or, you know, his novelty thing, which is, I watch his channel, I love his channel, I'm not picking on Steve. But to use it as an example, you know, every time he goes out and just goes camping for the weekend and films it, you know, he might make, who knows, what does 1 million views make? $10,000? Just call it $10,000 or something. So, you know, he's making tons of money. Now, there's an incentive there. So, you know, what do you do when you're a channel that might get 1,000 views on a video, or our channel here, you know, the Backroads, when we're on the Great Loop, we're getting the most views, at least so far. And my high water mark for making any money was when we were on the loop and I was making about $2,000 a month, which is awesome. That's putting out about at least one video a week, and then supplementals and so forth, you know. So that was awesome. That was paid for the loop. Okay, this isn't going to be just about money. I'm just trying to get this out of the way. Well, you know, now that we're not on the loop, views are going to go down. It's just the way it is, you know. And I might get, looks like a couple, 3, 4, 5,000 views on a video if it's good and people are interested in it. That's enough for me. But a person has to get, I guess, comfortable with the fleeting nature of YouTube, and that it's so inconsistent. Some people, can keep it going for a long time. Some people have these just little crests and then valleys, and as far as views go. Now, what I'm ultimately getting at with this is, for myself, I am trying to nurture the attitude of I'm not, let's see, how do I put this? For 8 of the 10 years of doing backwaters and back roads, I would get about 1,000 views a video. And I was ecstatic. And if it fell short of that, I was like, oh, I must be doing something wrong. I won't do a video like that anymore, or I'll, change it up, whatever. And that was like my threshold, and I was satisfied with that. Anybody that's been with us for a long time, has heard me say that. Like, I feel so lucky to have 1,000 people who will pay attention to what we're doing, to share our adventures with. It feels amazing to me, and it still does. The little town that I live in most of the time in Ontonagon, the population, the village, is about 1,000 people. And I used to, always think of it like that. Like, well, everybody in my little village, now they don't, trust me. But, it's like, oh, it's my little village, So, and then when you have a little, you get more views and they go up, and then you get more people interested, and then people move on, because there's just so much. It's just so inundated. There's just so much to pay attention to out there. It's amazing anyone ever gets, any traction, if you think about it. That's why having a niche, is the way to go. Our niche is, I'm not really aiming for a niche. I just do what I like to do, and then I share it. And it just inevitably has become, like-minded people, and it's become my niche, which is, shanty boating, living on a boat in general, and traveling on a boat on a budget, and scooter adventures, things like that. So a couple of niches. Hopefully they're related. I would like to think the common theme thread is doing it on a budget. I'd say extreme budget, but that's my buddy Barry's channel. But he got it right, extreme budget. So when I said I'm just trying to nurture the right attitude about this, as winters come in, there's been a lot of stuff, going on. It has not made any sense to put out a video or put out videos just for the sake of putting out videos. Anybody that does do a channel has to kind of make that decision. Are you going to just, the algorithm wants you to feed it, and all the experts, correctly say, you have to be consistent every Thursday, every Friday, every Wednesday at 5, whatever. Or, you could say, well, I don't have anything worthwhile to share. And that would hopefully keep your quality up, which over time in the long run, your viewers would recognize of like, oh, when so-and-so pops up, it's probably a good quality video, as opposed to just, I'm going to tell you about this for the 5th time. I'm going to point this out for the 5th time. I'm going to rehash this, same 5 subjects until, something else comes along. I've decided to only put out videos when I think there's something worthwhile to share. So, other channels that do that would be like Bald and Bankrupt. Now, he can do anything he wants. He's got 5 million subscribers, okay? He's even of a higher tier than Steve Wallace is, for example. And Bald and Bankrupt will, disappear off of YouTube for months at a time because he's out having the adventures that will eventually become the content in the videos, right? And so everyone just kind of goes, well, he must be in Moldova or something, and we'll see him when he's done processing that footage. And that is the nature, especially for, this is another point I wanted to make, of channels like Bald and Bankrupt or Steve Wallace has a different kind of niche in a way, because he can just go 20 miles away from his wherever he lives and, you know, probably find a new take on his kind of novelty camping. So, but I'll say this, you know, for my channel, for our channel, is it really is one of the most difficult types of channels to have, because especially if you don't have a lot of money and you're just a one-man operation, you know, you have to go someplace. You have to have the money to do it. You have to have the time to do it. You have to film it. You have to. It sounds like I'm complaining. I'm not. I'm trying to point out some probably pretty obvious stuff, but sometimes it's not so obvious. And so, it's one of the hardest types of channels, because you're actually going out in the real world. I've used this example before, that if like I watch like Critical Drinker, he's got a great channel. If you like movies and real takes on real movies, and or a channel that you guys probably no one would know about, because it's kind of one of these hidden channels. It's like a cult channel, Quantum of Conscience, which I absolutely love. I mean, I listen to the algorithm, just knows that the second that Matt puts a video out, it just pops up on my feed, and I watch it instantly. And Matt will put out stuff, you know, 6 days a week, and he's a genius at what he does. But he doesn't have to leave his house to make those videos. You know, he can do them in his office, and most of the material just comes from, you know, his big brain and research online and so forth. So, whereas opposed to a channel like Backwards, you know, I don't have to, I already do, but, you know, you have to go out in the world, and you have to have real adventures, and you have to somehow, you know, make those happen and then chronicle them and so forth. And so that's why, if you're watching this, you probably care. You're like in the 2 percentile of our viewers that cares enough to be listening to this. You know, if we just disappear for a month, I try not to make it any more than a month. But it's because probably it's just nothing interesting going on, and or there's other things, you know, going on that I just can't get away from. And so unless I have backlogged footage, that's what happened when we were doing the loop, is I just had so much footage that I was able to go, you know, we came home from North Carolina in May, and I was able to make videos until like August because I had so much, you know, footage. I was so, you know, that was a real privilege to do. So I want to say that, and you know, about once a year, I just ask myself the question: do I want to keep doing this, or do I want to keep doing this? I mean, YouTube is changing. I mean, it's and I would say it's always changing for the worst, and just more advertising. I mean, one thing a lot of people don't realize is YouTube doesn't make any money for YouTube. I mean, it's not a profitable company. It belongs to Google, of course, and it's always been it's never made a profit. Look into it. It's kind of a lost leader, or, you know, I don't entirely know why. We're gonna do the loop again here. But yeah, you know, if you think about it, you know, every channel you watch, and if that person has, you know, 10,000 views or 50,000 views or 100,000 views or whatever, you know, YouTube is most likely paying them. And they have, you know, they're paying a lot of money out to creators across, you know, millions, tens of millions of, you know, content creators. So they have, you know, I'm not arguing for YouTube, trust me. I'm just saying they spend a lot of money, you know, to you know, pay us. I don't, you know, and then, you know, they have a lot of advertising. So they're always trying to, you know, I imagine they're trying to figure out a way to make their business model profitable. And so far they haven't. And eventually that's going to do a tectonic shift. Okay, there's going to be this, like, you know, I don't know, I'm just pulling stuff off the top of my head here, but it could be anything from, they just do this revamping of their business model where it becomes not really advertiser based, it becomes subscription based. And if you don't pay YouTube, like people in the UK pay the BBC to like watch the BBC, it's actually a law. Like everybody has to, it's like licensing or something like that. Then you can't, truck coming here, you know, you have, it's going to be a subscription based thing. Or even to have a channel, you're going to have to just start, instead of YouTube paying you, you're going to have to pay them. You know, it already is kind of like that, because YouTube will promote your videos and your channel if you pay them. You know, you'll see a little button on, well, I don't know, you can see it as a creator in the back of the channel, but you can promote a channel, you know, promote a video. You put out a video and you're like, I'm going to pay some of my ad revenue that you were going to pay me at the end of the month, my AdSense, back to you, you know, Google, YouTube, and you'll promote my video, and hopefully it'll gain you subscribers and it'll gain you views, and it'll kind of be a wash or work out in the long run. There's lots of people that do that. I've never done that. I've thought about it. It might be a way to grow, because unless you're doing everything just right, hitting the algorithm just right, YouTube doesn't have to promote you. They have so much else they can do, so many other people they can promote. So it can be hard to grow. But that kind of comes back to what I'm trying to get at here for myself, is I want to get back to the attitude of, if I have 1,000 core viewers, subscribers, however you want to say it, fans, that will show up for any, you know, for the videos that I put out, that's worth it to me. I kind of think about my buddy on Shanty Sanctuary. We did a Nosy Beagle interview with him, and he said it and he meant it. Okay, a lot of people, you know, it's like will say it, but they don't necessarily mean it. But he means it. He's just like, I just do this for my family and friends. You know, I chronicle my little, you know, adventures on my shanty boat and the cool places he goes, and I put the videos out there. And you can tell when he's making his videos, he's just kind of talking to his family and friends, and he's satisfied with that. I admire that. I envy that. I don't have any family. and all my friends, I guess all my friends are already watching, hopefully. But if I can get 1,000 people to show up, if it settles back down to that low water mark, I think it's worth it to keep doing it. Big reason why is I'm already doing it. Like, I already do this stuff. If I thought about it, I asked myself this question, like when we just took off on this little metal tent adventure we're on right now. I was like, well, if I didn't have a YouTube channel, okay, would I still have gone out into the world here in the winter and slept in the car and, you know, gone on adventures? I would have, and I know that because I used to, long before, you know, YouTube came around. I have been a, you know, kind of a restless spirit, you know, adventurer, traveler, wanderer for pretty much my entire life. I mean, you know, since I got my driver's license, basically, and probably before that, just on foot. So I would be doing it regardless. But it would probably be, you know, a more lonely endeavor. It used to be a lot easier to meet people before the age of social media and screens in the real world. And so, you know, and I was younger and I could just go out and meet people. And, you know, that's how you get your social, and you don't get lonely. Well, now everybody's on social media, everybody's on a screen, even when they're out in public. And so, you know, I appreciate being able to bring some people along that get something from these little adventures that I would already be doing. So I think that answers the question. Now, last thing I'll say about that is, you know, there's a channel that has been around for a long time, and longer than my channel, I think. I used to watch a lot. It was I shouldn't mention his name because I don't want to single him out or anything. But he lives in a van. He's kind of a van lifer, one of the OGs of that. And he would sometimes even come up to my neck of the woods. I think he lives down in Wisconsin or Illinois or something. And occasionally you would see him. His videos would be based in the UP of Michigan and stuff like that. And he used to have a fairly, popular channel. And then it just fell off a cliff. I remember just not paying attention for a while, and then I would come back, oh, what's he doing? And he would have a video with like 400 views. But he's got, 50,000 subscribers or something like that. And it's like, and then he made videos where he would talk about that. It's just like, I don't know how much longer I should do this. It's just so depressing to be going through all this work and having 400 views or something. Now, in his case, I looked into it a little more, looked at some of his bad catalog that I was missing, and his quality of videos started to decline quite a bit. It was a lot of just talking to the camera, exactly like I'm doing to you right now. But this is a backup channel. This is what this is for. So everyone has a choice to be here or not, And so, he started, and then he started to complain about it. So he'd make an entire video going, no one's showing it from a channel. Why not? From my videos, this is getting depressing. Now, it probably was, but you just don't want to set that on the shoulders of your viewers. Never do. Even if there's some truth to it, so he was making some mistakes, and it was just basically becoming like a downward spiral for his channel. And I guess I'd have to check, but I think the last time I checked, he was just not making any videos or very few or something. And so I guess if I have a threshold, it would be if I couldn't even get 1,000 views on a video that I put work into, I would say just making it the best I could with the real content and footage that I had. I call it wringing out the towel. I will wring out the towel as much as I can to make it as interesting as possible with the limited skills that I have. And if I did that, and I pushed the publish button, and I had 500 views, and then it, because most videos get the most views it's ever going to get in the first week, unless it becomes a viral one that has legs, which some do. It happens occasionally. I have a few videos. I have a few videos in my back catalog that just continue to find an audience. Just trudges right along, and every time I check it, it's like, oh, I just got 1,000 more views on that this month or something like that, So it happens occasionally, but most of the time, put out a video and within a week or so, it's pretty much got 90% of its views it's going to get. And that's why you want to put out another one. So, yeah, if I was just getting down to like I couldn't even pull 1,000 views on a video that I was working hard on, I might just stop doing it because it does take a lot of time. Someone very close to me pointed that out this last fall, that it's like, I was making the incorrect estimate of, how long does it take for me to make a video? And I'd be like, oh, this amount of time, 8 hours of, editing and sitting down and doing it. And well, no, then there's just a whole lot more you don't have to, but you like to, you want to answer comments. You have to curate a channel it's a job, and it is more than a full-time job. I'm using my little selfie stick, and it's working pretty good, guys. You notice I'm not bouncing all over the place this time, I hope. So yeah, it's like no one, how do I put it? It's like, it's not about the money, but everybody only has so much time and everybody needs some money. It's just the constraints of living in this world. And if a person is putting in more than a full-time job into something, and there's very little or no monetary return, then you can say, well, it's a labor of love, or I have to do something else with my time in order to survive. That's not the case for me, mostly because I am my lifestyle. live very frugally and simply. I like to think so. And so I guess by default, as a byproduct, I have a little more time than maybe the average person that's out there making a whole lot more money, and that's their reward for it, and I don't knock them for it for a second. But I have more time. Sometimes I do. And, you know, so I can continue to make it work for me. So, okay. The AI question. You got anyone that watches my channel? Wavy peeing again. I've, you know, toyed around with some AI. Actually, I have a buddy who lives in the UK who is a real tech guy. He's amazing at tech. He's like mind melded with computers. He's so good at it. And, you know, he sent me some songs, and you've maybe heard some on some videos here, like, you know, Backwaters and Backroads songs about Wavy and me and so forth. And, you know, they're interesting and catchy. And even the channel trailer, I used one. Shanty boats, scooters, and beagles are the only thing that keep me hanging on, kind of based on the Dwight Yoakam song, you know. So it's all fun and, you know, harmless. But I'm here to say that AI is going to it's going to change everything, and I don't think for the better. YouTube is already becoming a derivative platform, and what I mean by that is people are taking already existing content. It could be anything, you know. Some of it's good. I like watching, like, Big Old Boats is the one that pops in my head, and this guy is amazing. He makes amazing videos about the history of a particular boat that might have sunk 100 years ago in Lake Erie or something. Well, you know, he's using derivative footage, and I mean, you know, just archived footage from that time and trying to make it fit, and, you know, maybe the few pictures of that boat before it sunk and things like that. You know, he takes as much as he can of that. And so that's the style of video, and it works, and it's very entertaining, and it's great. But whereas, you know, obviously a channel like mine, ours, is not a channel like that. Almost everything you see is original footage that I'm taking of the real world, okay? Well, YouTube's already, that's a dying genre, because it's so hard to make. It kind of goes back to this thing I was just talking about. It's the hardest type of channel you can run. It just takes so much work. Whereas if you just sit at home and you are really good at archiving already existing pictures and footage and stories and information and stuff, and you're good at that kind of stuff, you can craft awesome videos that are worth watching. So YouTube's going to continue to go that way, but it's going to be augmented and taken over by AI, because it's going to become inextinguishable between AI and reality, like really soon. It probably already is. They probably already have that technology. I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but, you know, it's going to become, well, and so then people they could ask themselves, is real so valuable to me that I only want to pay attention to what's real, not AI. I foresee a genre, a category of videos on YouTube that are going to start to market themselves as that, or let that be known. You know, this is a AI-free channel. YouTube already included in this, anytime you build a video, it asks, as you have augmented content, is there anything in your video that's AI based or representing somebody that's real in a artificial way or something like that? And, you know, you just click yes or no. Well, I think it's going to get to the point pretty quick, in a year or two, is my guess, where there's going to be so much AI being used that, and people already can't really distinguish it. Like, you can go out there and find videos, and they're, you know, you have a certain eye for it, and you can kind of see, oh, that's AI, but you have to really look close. And then you'll see in the comment sections, and there's people just like, you know, there's one I'm thinking of a polar bear that's like swimming in the sea out in the Arctic Ocean, and there's sharks around it, and it looks very real. And then the next scene, the polar bear's up on the deck of a big trawler boat, and you read in the comments, and there are people just going, that poor polar bear, I want to know more of the story. What happened? You know, thank you guys for saving that polar bear from those sharks. And it's like, they don't know they were watching an AI short, an AI video. So, you know, I could say more about that. Why? You know, there's naivety out there in some of the older generations that they're getting blindsided by some of this technology. Not that I'm young. I'm a Gen Xer. I kind of just live in both worlds. I mean, I have one foot in the old world and one foot in the new world, you know. So, anyways, there's going to become channels that are going to be like, I don't use any AI. And then that's going to have to be supported. There's going to have to be people out there that are going to want that and say, I want to support channels that only are real and not augmented by AI. If that really does happen, and I'm still doing YouTube, I'm going to probably let that be known. You know, some way tag my videos or let the viewer know I don't use any AI. I'm not going to use any more AI music. Not that it's not a good tool, but I guess at a principle. I don't want to just, you know, dabble in it. It's like, I'm just deciding I'm going to continue to pay. I have a couple of music artists that I pay a little bit every once in a while, and they were nice enough to license me their catalog so I can use their music. Loco, I put him in the description of most of the videos. He's awesome. He's in Germany. Check him out if you want. So yeah, I guess I want to start supporting, practice what I preach. I'm going to support real people, and hopefully real people will support me for being real. Because that's the world. It's becoming that. It's I guess I could say a whole lot more about this. Maybe I will circle back around and kind of go a couple levels deeper when I can about what I think the ultimate ramifications of this AI revolution is going to do to society. But I guess I'll just say, leave it with this. It's not going in a good place. They're going to market it as the greatest thing since sliced bread, but it's going to be bad news. It's just going to add gasoline to a already burning fire. That's just my opinion. So, okay, guys, thank you so much if you're still here for listening. I am always interested to know what you might think about anything I might have touched upon. It is a real privilege to have folks to talk to, even if we're separated a little bit by some time and space. Yeah, I feel very privileged to have it. So you guys keep me company. I will see you over on Backwires and Backroads. Catch you later.